Blox Fruits is no longer king of Roblox, but does that mean it's dying? Or are the games just getting more popular? That's what we're going to be finding out today. Now, on the surface level, if you ask me what state the game is in, I would actually say it's in a pretty good state on the surface level. When you take a deeper look into things, you kind of start to see the cracks. Now, I'm not saying that these mythicals are bad or they don't have a place in the game. For example, they've added Leo, Kitsune, Yeti, T-Rex, Mammoth. They reworked Gravity. They've done a lot of great work, and I'm not complaining about the fruits themselves. I'm just complaining about the fact that every new thing that they add is mythicals. I don't think that's a good look for the game, and I know the main reason that they're doing it is because they know that they can charge a shit ton for these new mythicals because they are supposed to be the best fruits in the game. So why take the time to do something with commons or rares? No, let's not take the time to do that. We only need to add fruits that make us the most money, so let's keep on adding mythicals. Now, on top of the fact that they only add mythicals these days, it seems, the updates are kinda slow. Hell, for the Dragon rework, we had to wait a whole year, which, don't get me wrong, I thought was great, and it definitely lived up to the hype, but the issue is, when you break it down, there was not much that the game added or offered for a whole year worth of wait time. It just wasn't worth it. Now, I will give them credit, they've been communicating a lot more with the community, but in the end of the day, it just feels updates that are just kind of flashy, they don't really add real substance. For example, the whole year that we had to wait for the Dragon update was about 2 weeks worth of content, and guess what? After everyone did that, they moved on back to whatever else they were playing, whatever they replaced Blox Fruits with, and that's just not a good thing. More consistent quality updates exactly what the game needs, but are they actually able to deliver? Now, I will give them credit, like I said earlier, they have been doing blogs and they've been communicating with us a lot more, but at the end of the day, they can say all these plans that they have and they want to do, but if they don't actually deliver on it, what is the point? What is the point of saying, oh, we're going to do this, but then we're going to take 3 years to do it? They've been able to communicate themselves what they want to do in their plans, but at the end of the day, they have a track record of not doing what they say. And I can give plenty of examples, but you guys already know exactly what I'm talking about. I just think that instead of just talking, they actually need to put their money where their mouth is and drop the updates and do what they say, because it gets ridiculous at this point to keep on promising and promising after they've let us down so many times and not delivered. Now, the thing about Blox Fruits is it still has a great player count. 200,000, 250,000, 300,000 average. That's actually great. A lot of Roblox games would kill for that number. And I'm not hating on that. I'm not saying that's a small number, or I'm saying that it's not much. But at the end of the day, compared to what they used to be able to pull, when I first started playing Blox Fruits, the average was around 800,000 people. And you would think after they dropped the Gravity rework, after they dropped the Dragon update, that the game would be hitting new peaks or new concurrent averages, but it's not. It's been declining every single update. The peaks get smaller and the concurrent gets slower. The only exception to what I just said is when the Dragon rework dropped, but the peak was short-lived. It did not last very long and the concurrent just dropped quickly. I remember when the Dragon update dropped, everything was great. It seemed like Blox Fruits had a new jolt of life. It seemed like Blox Fruits was going to be on top again. But then it just started dropping rapidly and I was like, what? Is it Blox Fruits at this point? Are people just tired of Blox Fruits? Every single day, I see more and more people quitting Blox Fruits. The long time people who have been there since day one are quitting. The older players are quitting. Even the new players are quitting. Blox Fruits just doesn't seem to have that appeal that it used to. Or maybe it's just stale for a lot of people. One person in particular that I think of when we think of quitting is ReadyVex. I don't know if a lot of you guys know ReadyVex, the YouTuber, quit Blox Fruits. He gave his own reasons, but for any reason that he decided to quit is still him quitting. And that is just not a good look, especially when the content creators don't want to play your game anymore, when they're tired of your game. Content creators are important for any game. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it's not a good sign when people who make a living off your game are tired of it. And they're not willing to even pretend to like it anymore, even for money. So I really started to think, are people even playing Blox Fruits even within my own community? Is there just a less interest in general? And why are people quitting? I really want to find out, so I decided, hey, let me ask people in my Discord, and here's some of their answers. Now, Spooderman says it's boring and inconsistent. Now, boring is a subjective subject. You know, it might be boring for some people, but some people might find aspects of the game fun. But I just feel like they're not adding fun updates. They've been doing better at updating. They've actually updated twice this year, which is great. But at the end of the day, if the updates don't add anything fun or meaningful, people are going to get bored. It's bound to happen. And it doesn't help when they're using a system that they've been using a lot lately of luck. A lot of things and events are tied behind sea events, which is inconsistent. Nobody wants to look around for hours to find something that may or may not spawn. It doesn't help that they keep on adding more and more sea events, and it just makes it so you only have a smaller chance to find the exact sea event you want. If you want to find the magma island, guess what? You have like a 1 in 5 chance, because you also have the Kitsune island, you also have the Mirage island. There's just so much sea events, and it just takes more and more time to find the one that you want, and that just frustrates a lot of people. Obviously, as you can tell, it frustrates me. One said, honestly, I don't think Blox Fruits is as bad as people say it is right now. I enjoy it. The new meta actually requires some skill and a lot of tech to learn. It doesn't feel as brain dead as it used to be. Overall, game is in a better place right now than it was a year ago. Now, that's actually one of the few positive comments I got when I asked about Blox Fruits. But let's go over it. Now, I hate to disagree with One because I like him. I've spoken to him before. He was on my Blox Fruits team. But I actually would disagree, and I do think that Blox Fruits PvP is more brain dead than it's ever been in the past. With the introduction of Dragon rework, with the introduction of Gravity rework, with the introduction of every new fruit, they basically make it pretty brain dead, because they know, oh, if we make it brain dead, people are going to want it really, really bad, and they're more likely to buy it perm. But I would agree with Juan that the game is actually in a better place than it used to be a year ago. I'm just not sure the majority of the community feels the same way. Dispecs says, Blox Fruits overall is a 7 right now, since the game has so much potential, and they have many things that they can upscale with the amount of new features Roblox has offer. I am so sure that they can make the game so much better. It's awesome they're different from other games. I do like how they're willing to take feedback from the community, which is nice, but I do want to see the game expand more. I would still play it, but with the amount of content update won't last for days, like a month for the max double players. So I feel like Cam pointed out something that may not be obvious to a lot of people. A lot of the people who play Blox Fruits have been playing Blox Fruits, so it's kind of hard to make people happy who've been playing it, to make them feel excited about something when they've already basically done everything the game has to offer. And when you do add something new to the game, it doesn't last very long, because it's the only new thing that they have to focus on and really keep them playing. Not Uta says, I think the PvP system is a disappointment. Although it's one of the best looking in the game, I feel like they can definitely do a lot better. It feels like some of the devs don't play the games themselves, not even to see how broken the fruit they're making. Also, community is overall shit. I like to point out some grown adults are full on doxing kids over this game. It sucks what this game and its community have become, because this game carried my teenage years 14 to 16. Now, I'm not sure about the doxing or the toxicity. I know PvP is pretty toxic in general. As far as the balance complaint, I do 100% agree with that. I feel like all the new fruits that they add basically are broken as they get. They do not take the time to try to play the game to see if it actually is balanced. And then, let's just say they do realize that it is unfair or unbalanced. They take their sweet ass time to update it. And it's just like, what? Like, we have to wait months because you didn't take the time to actually play what you put out? That being said, I do agree that the fruits are visually very nice looking and they're very pretty. And all the reworks they do are super nice looking. But balance wise, they really need to take their time to balance the new stuff that they add. Now, I don't think the game's quite pay to win yet, but I could see the argument that it already is. Now, when Leo first came out, I was like, dang, that fruit is crazy, but it's a mythical, it's the top one, it's new, it's exciting. We kind of need something like that. 3,000 is expensive, but there's no way that they're gonna make something more expensive than that. And then they dropped Kitsune, and I thought, dang, that's expensive. But you know what? Kitsune is super cool, and there's no way that they're gonna charge more than 4,000 for the next perm. And then they dropped Dragon, the rework. And I'm not saying that the Dragon rework is not cool or it's not worth it, but 5,000 Robux. At that point, Kitsune was already crazy, Leah was already crazy. The majority of people who play Blox Fruits and Roblox in general are children, and they cannot afford to be paying 5,000 Robux, 4,000 Robux, 3,000 Robux. It's just an insane asking price. And you can say, oh well, Dispecs, you can get the physical version of them. You can, but they trade for perms. The physical versions of these trade for perms. It's just crazy. And it's like, okay, well, at least it's only the perms, Dispecs. At least it's the perms only. It's just the fruits, and you don't have to. So I actually took the time and I did the calculations. And if you wanted to buy every single perm in the game, it would cost you 68,880 Robux, which is insane. That's about like $600, maybe $550. And you know, maybe that's not the biggest deal in the world, because it's over time that you can probably do it. But the issue comes down to lately, they've taken that greed to a whole new level. So now, whenever they're about to release a new fruit or rework a new fruit, what they'll do is they'll take it off sale. So no longer can you pre-buy stuff, try to be smart, to try to save yourself money. No, they want every single dollar that you have for their reworks, which is insane to me. Like, they're gonna make money either way. And the thing about reworks is sometimes it doesn't cost that much more. Maybe it's like a 15-20%, 10% increase in Robux price. But in Dragon's case, it went from 2,400 Robux to 5,000 Robux. That is insane. Like, how can they justify that? I get it, it's the best fruit in the game, but it's just insane. But then you think, hey, what about the scrolls? And it's like, whoa, scrolls that give you better damage on your swords, that give you blessings and curse. And I don't think they're crazy unbalanced, but you could make the argument that they are paid to win, because they do give you a good enough advantage to make it noteworthy. Now you can say, hey, Dispecs, you can craft these scrolls. You can craft even the mythical scrolls. Yes, you can. But in order to even start crafting these scrolls, you need to make 10 common scrolls, you need to make 10 rare scrolls, and then you need to make 10 legendary scrolls to learn how to make a mythical scroll. And once you finally learn all the recipes, it takes so much resources to even craft. But guess what? If you don't have the time for that, or you're just lazy, you can just buy them with Robux. It costs 5 Leviathan scales, 3 electric wings, 1 mutant tooth, and 7 fool's gold. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, especially when you see my inventory. I have a lot of it. But Leviathan scale, 5 of them, is basically half a Leviathan. It might even be a whole Leviathan. I don't remember exactly. And then to craft a mythical scroll, you need 1 Levi heart. So you need to kill a whole Levi for 1 freaking scroll. You need 15 Leviathan scales, which is more than 1 Leviathan. Not 1 Terror Eye, which Terror Sharks are annoying as they get. And then 20 Fool's Gold. 20 Fool's Gold. That is like 3 or 4 ships. So you can really see the issue that I have with these scrolls and how you can consider them pay to win. But at least there's the option to craft them, right? At least you can craft them if you really want to. You're just gonna have to spend hours and hours just to craft 1. No. So Blox Fruits is in a really tough spot right now. The anime that they're based off of, they don't want to be associated. They don't want to be known as a One Piece game anymore. They want to be known as their own thing. But the issue with that is, the reason so many people fell in love with this game in the first place is because it's so One Piece heavily inspired. The further that they move away from it, and the further they try to disassociate themselves from One Piece, I feel like they're gonna lose a lot of the things that made the game so appealing. The game that made me fall in love with it. I know I've been telling you guys all about the things Blox Fruits has been doing wrong and all the things that they've been doing that I disagree with. But in reality, what if none of those things even matter? What if none of those things are the reason that Blox Fruits is declining in popularity? What if it's the stuff they can't help? I think a big part of the decline of Blox Fruits is all the stuff I mentioned previously in this video. I just think it's a changing player base of Roblox in general. Roblox is changing, and what the players want to play is changing. And maybe Blox Fruits is just not what people want to play anymore. They want to play simple, easy games to get into like Dead Rails and Grow a Garden. It might not even be the owner's greed and bad choices. Maybe people are just tired of Blox Fruits and they have no interest in playing it anymore. They don't have interest in grinding a game like Blox Fruits. They want to play simple, fun stuff now. Maybe whatever changes Blox Fruits does, it will never recover to its former glory. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys like this type of video, make sure you guys let me know so I can make more of them. Supers!